Cool. Hey, speaking of Rihanna, she's one of my favorite artists. Did you get a chance to interact with her?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And she's super sweet in person. I would say, like, in rehearsals, she was, very humble, and she talked to everybody, and we took pictures together, and she wasn't like a diva, because I've met some other people, some other that won't talk to you, or they won't. But Brianna was of all of them, she was probably one of the most down to earth.
Yeah, I heard, through a friend of mine. I kind of worked in the music business for I don't know, probably 2-3 years. I built a couple websites for people when I lived in Atlanta. So yeah, I've met some people, were cool. Some people not so much.
Sure.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned Atlanta, I mentioned earlier, Outkast. That's like my favorite. Like, I grew up loving Outkast. Like Andre, even their first albums, like Southern Playalistic, Aquemini, AT Aliens. Like, those early records are still my favorite records, and that's like Atlanta culture. Also, I don't know if I told you, I toured with India Irie, who's from Atlanta as well. Okay. We became friends like years ago. I did a West Coast series of shows with her and Idan Rachel from Israel. They co-wrote an album together, and the Open Door album, and I performed and sang and played violin and sang with India Irie for several shows, San Diego, Santa Monica. So, but she's got the Atlanta energy too. So I do have a connection to Atlanta, especially from Outkast in India.
That's cool. So how did you learn the business of music, as far as who toured to get on and the publishing and the production? How did you learn how to do that? How do you negotiate that stuff anyway?
I mean, honestly, I'm still learning every day right now. I mean, I'm just winging it. I show up and I try to use my intuition and feel it. I ask questions. I have other people that I talk to. I'm like, hey, what do you think of this, or what's this? And especially these days, I mean, before it was just Google. I'm looking up Google and YouTube. I'm looking up, how does this work? Or when I got the deal with Disney, what's the best way to do the deal with being an orchestrator? What's the best way to negotiate that? What's the market? What's normal? And I look up stuff and I read it. Now it's all ChatGPT. Same thing. You just ask ChatGPT. Everything I would ask Google, now I ask ChatGPT the same things. And it teaches me, like, hey, I'm about to do a production deal or a performance agreement for one of my artists. Can you help me write a performance contract? And it'll spit it out, and then I'll read it and I'll look at it and I'll change it. So a lot of it's just kind of learning as you go. Like, again, when I did the Disney thing, they wanted an orchestrator, so I went and looked up, what is an orchestrator? What does an orchestrator do? What do they got to know? I learned a little bit of that language, so that when I presented myself to Disney, I was able to speak the right language and get the job. Same thing with Modern Family. As an actor, they were looking for a cello player. I was like, oh, I got to go become a cello player. I borrowed a cello from my friend. I went and learned how to play the cello real quick. And then the next day I went in and, obviously I have a background on music, so I was able to pick up the cello faster than someone. I play the violin too, so it helped. It wasn't like fully from scratch, but I was definitely able to learn it quickly and go in and get the role as a cellist in Modern Family. So again, a lot of it's just kind of like, you got to learn as you go. Like right now I'm getting into promoting my single, and it's all new to me. I'm new to promoting on social media and TikTok. I'm new to that stuff. I don't have a big, huge online presence. I've got my Instagram. I got a couple things I'm posting, but I'm learning about video editing and CapCut and Video Leap and all these softwares to make TikTok reels and YouTube shorts. And I'm just kind of learning you just kind of learn as you go.
Okay. Let's talk about it. When it comes to acting, did you have to I guess, did they give you the role, or you had to actually I don't know, you had to actually audition for it?
I had to audition, and when I did all those acting things, it was, you're going in, you get to the audition place in Hollywood or Santa Monica or wherever it is, and and you walk in the room and there's a whole bunch of people that kind of look like you, and it's kind of nerve-wracking. You're like, oh, why is there a bunch of rock and roll looking dudes, or like a bunch of tall males around 5'11", or maybe a bunch of Indian dudes, depending, like everyone, they cast it, all of them are different ways. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm going in there, we all kind of look similar, or we're a similar type, a male between the ages of 22 and 25 or whatever, that look kind of like fit or whatever, I don't know, whatever it might be. We all got sent there by our agents or managers or whatever it is. We got submitted. There's like 400 of us. So like in my mind, I'm thinking, I gotta do. Yeah, some of them are like a lot of people, and they just you're going in for 5 seconds, and wow, you're in and out, and they're just gonna wean. They're gonna do a first cut and get it down to like 30 or 40 people, and then maybe the next round in like 3 days, you get a message like, hey, you got called back. You're like, okay, all right. got called back. All right. So in my mind, I'm thinking, there's that many people. I got to somehow stand out over these people. So when everyone's like in Hollywood, it's like you gotta stand on the thing and you gotta say your name. Everyone be like, my name is this, and I would go like, my name is DPAK, and I would like do some crazy beatbox different thing every time. And I think that's what had me stand out and get a lot more roles, because I was doing something unique that no one else was doing. And so I think that honestly, that's like the story if I was going to tell anyone else out there as advice for younger people.